As entrepreneurs, we typically are looking for different ways that we can provide value to the marketplace and make some money, right? We want to be in business so that we can support ourselves, support our families, do something fun, not have a boss telling us what to do. But oftentimes what ends up happening for entrepreneurs is we really don't know what we should be looking at. You probably follow me because I talk about real estate, and real estate might be interesting to you, but is it aligned to you? And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. So I'm going to give you 8 things that I look for to signal to me that the thing that I'm working on right now is in alignment with my true self. And I know that if I'm doing something that's in alignment with me, there is a high likelihood that that activity is going to get blessed, is going to have great positive energy behind it, and most likely blow the F up. So if you want to find out if the activity that you're working on right now is in alignment with you, then you're going to want to watch this video. And I'm here again now. So you are probably used to watching me talking about real estate videos, but if you've been tuning in to my Sunday mindset live streams, you know that I am a nerd for mindset related content and I study this stuff religiously. For me, it's really fun. I'm very much into understanding myself. I am self-aware and I'm constantly trying to dig in and pull back layers of what I am to find out what is true and authentic. And if I feel like I'm doing something in my life that is not true to what I'm really wanting to do or my life's purpose, I'll make a pivot. And when I do these things, I am so much more happy. So if you've been following me because you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to make some money and you thought maybe real estate is the way to get to it, but once you started doing it, it kind of felt like, I don't know. I want you to first discern if that sensation or if that feeling is just resistance because it's hard or resistance because it's out of alignment. So let's talk about the 8 things that you will actually need to look at to see if there is alignment in what you are doing right now. So the first one is if what you are doing feels like it came together organically. Now, the other way would be if it came together by force. So here's an example of the two. What I think about an organic introduction to any type of specific activity or a type of business venture means that it kind of just all came together at the right time in the right place. I may have been sitting in a restaurant talking to somebody when all of a sudden I was introduced to this incredible new thing, right? And it elicited all kinds of excitement from me and it immediately grabbed my attention. Cool? Now for me, that's like, yeah, that was an organic thing, right? For me as well with wholesaling, it organically came together, right? I did my first deal by piecing together what I had in front of me, so the opportunity to be able to fill an order for a builder who was looking for a specific type of real estate, and then through just my natural mechanisms of how I operate, by walking my dog, having a conversation with a person who had a property for rent, and then connecting all the dots. Even the fact that I had cold called real estate attorneys to find out what wholesaling was or how to do this transaction without having any of my own money, and the fact that I was at that time cold calling businesses to sell them some other product means that I had all of the tools organically at my disposal to put the thing together, right? That's why I know wholesaling for me was a part of my life story. It was an organic part of my life story because when I put it together, it just clicked, it all worked, and it worked really easily, and I didn't have to force anything. So if you are currently working on something and it came to you in an organic fashion, there's a good chance that you're in alignment with it. But on the flip side, let's just say, for instance, you're doing something because your friend told you you should do this, or your mom said this is a really good idea for you to look at, or your father said you should look at real estate. Maybe it's not in alignment for you. Another example is I was supposed to be a doctor, right? You guys know I'm East Indian, and most East Indian parents really pressure their children to become medical professionals. And I tried to do it myself. I actually had near 4.0 GPA in my undergrad in university. I took the exam to become a doctor, that's the MCAT. I did really well on that, but it all just didn't happen for me, right? One interview and one person said no, and my whole dream was shattered, right? And so if I had continued to try to be a doctor, even though it wasn't me that really wanted to be a doctor, it was my parents who wanted me to be a doctor, and I can be very honest with myself about that. It wasn't my dream, it was their dream, right? So you can see how that wasn't an organic thing for me. And if I ended up being a physician today, there's a good chance I'd be really miserable, right? Even though I'd probably be making money and you know, it's somewhat financially okay, I still would be miserable because I'd be doing something outside of alignment with my true goals and my true purpose. All right, number 2, synchronicities. These are the fun, coincidental things that just happen to line up, right? So for instance, I really had this dream of one day being on TV. I tried to be a comedian. I lived in Los Angeles for 4 years. I studied comedy. I did stand-up comedy. I did sketch comedy, and I was, doing okay with it. I started getting a few jobs here and there, and some of my videos went viral, and that was cool. I performed at some pretty cool stand-up clubs like the Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, Hollywood Improv, all really good for my resume. But again, it wasn't really lining up for me, right? I didn't have these synchronistic moments where I would just run into somebody who could help my career, or somebody sitting in the audience looked at me and watched my set and said, that's the guy I want for my movie. Like, none of that happened, right? I was just forcing myself. I was just really just trying all the things, throwing all the spaghetti at the wall to see what stuck. And at the end of the day, it never really worked out for me. However, with respect to real estate, again, how it all just organically came. Like the synchronicities of how that TV show happened. First, Pace and I arguing over a deal that we end up doing together. Then Bobby joining Pace and I to shoot a YouTube video on a property walkthrough that we did, that then turned into having these producers just magically find it on Pace's YouTube channel, which then turned into producers reaching out to me and I ignored them. And then they reached out to Pace, and then Pace booked a meeting, and then we had a meeting with these 2 TV execs, which then turned into a television show. And we didn't even have to shoot a pilot for it, right? The synchronicities on how all of that came together, from the deal to Bobby to the YouTube channel to the producers watching the show to the interviews that we had to bypassing the need for a pilot episode. I mean, the synchronicities were out of this world. But I knew at that moment that doing that TV show was in alignment for both Pace and I's career. And it was really fun. So again, synchronicities are really cool because they show you when you're on the right path. So when you just happen to talk to the person that can solve the problem that you have right now, that thing that you're working on is probably something that's meant for you to do, right? So look for those synchronicities. See where things line up. It's not coincidence. Nothing happens in this world by accident. It happens because you've attracted it to yourself. So synchronicities are really important to pay attention to. Number 3, if what you're doing energizes you, right? Now, again, you can probably tell if you've been day trading, for instance, right? And you wake up every single morning and you're just sick to your stomach because you're gonna have to look at these dang charts again. And all of a sudden the color red and blue, like those little ticker symbols, the colors of the tickers make you want to vomit, right? You're not energized by that activity. Or for instance, if waking up and calling homeowners or waking up and having to call real estate agents makes you have diarrhea, well, you're probably not energized by real estate or this type of real estate that I'm teaching, right? But on the other side, if you wake up every day and you're like, I can't wait to do this job, I can't wait to make these phone calls, I can't wait to comp these houses, well, that enthusiasm, that energy that you're developing inside, that's yourself, that's your like inner being letting you know that what you're doing right now is super fun and that you can get really present in it. And that typically means that you're in alignment with that activity. So make sure you're checking your energy levels. Is what you're doing right now draining you, or is what you're doing right now energizing you? Number 4, the sense of deja vu. What a fun feeling deja vu is. You ever had that sensation where you're just sitting somewhere and you're like, man, I feel like I've been here before. Why does this feel so familiar to me? And quite often, we're in situations or circumstances that we've never seen, right? Like I once had deja vu in Italy. Well, I'd never been to Italy before, so there was no chance that I'm just recalling something subconsciously that felt similar. The reality is that maybe there was a parallel version of myself in another dimension who was also experiencing Italy at that time. And I might be collecting that memory that is happening in another dimension in my current state, in my current place. That's how they explain deja vu, is there's a possibility through string theory, if any of you have ever studied quantum mechanics, through string theory that there's multiple versions of ourselves loosely tied together through these strings essentially, and we're constantly going through the motions of our life in different dimensions, having made different choices. So for instance, there's one version of Jamil who's a doctor right now, and there's another version of Jamil who's maybe a comedian right now, and then another version of Jamil right now who's a real estate investor, and we might all visit Italy. And there may be a sense of deja vu when I'm sitting at a restaurant eating this incredible spaghetti bolognese and I'm like, man, I feel like I've been here before. Well, maybe I have. Maybe a version of me has been in that restaurant and I'm just experiencing it again for maybe the second, third, or 50th time. So deja vu is a really cool sensation. It's a really cool feeling, and it tells you that where you are is where you're supposed to be. All right, number 5, is the activity that you're doing making positive impact? Are you in harmonious relationships with other people on the project. So when you're working on a business or in a model that feels like it's just friction, conflict, people around you are really not interested in working with you, or you feel like you have to scrape and scream and spit and fight and punch and do all these things in order for you to get any traction, that's probably not a positive, harmonious situation, right? The things that are meant for us are meant for us, and they're not meant for us to be crappy or feel bad. They're meant to energize and uplift us and make us feel good. And so if the activity that you're doing right now is positive, and the people that you're doing the activity with have harmonious relationships with you, there's a really good chance that what you're doing is in alignment, right? So for instance, the relationship that I have with Pace Morby, Jerry Norton, Brent Daniels, I mean, that tells me that Wholesale Hotline was meant to be. It was a podcast that is now over 4 years old, and we all show up every Monday and do that podcast together. 4 friends having a great time. It's a positive, harmonious relationship. We all love and care about each other. We all care to promote one another and support each other, and we always share best practices and information, and we do that with a bunch of love and harmonious feelings for the group. So take a look at your situation. Take a look at the things that you're working on right now. Are the relationships harmonious, and does it elicit positive interactions with other people? Number 6, is what you're doing resonating with who you were, maybe as a child, or your natural gifts and talents, right? So for instance, if I'm working on an app for basketball, now I like technology and I like apps, but I don't really like basketball. I don't like watching basketball. I don't like playing basketball. I don't even like looking at basketballs, okay? I don't even like basketball shoes. Well, that's not true because I do like Jordans. But anyways, right? Basketball, right? I don't think that I'm gonna make my fortune on a basketball app. Why? Because it's not interesting to me. It doesn't resonate with my natural talents. It doesn't resonate with my gifts. Now, of course, I've always been a dot connector. I've always been really good at putting people together and being able to find connections between things. And so naturally, business and entrepreneurship and real estate naturally fits into the talents that I have. And the fact that I've always been kind of a big mouth, really love hearing myself talk. Well, you know what? That might mean that I'd be a good educator for this YouTube channel, right? So again, I'm leaning into my natural talents, my natural gifts, and they resonate with the things that I've always enjoyed doing. And so that's why when doing it, I feel enthusiastic, I feel energized, I feel positive, I feel harmonious, I see synchronicities, I'm having deja vu, I'm feeling sometimes like it's completely organic and I'm not having to force anything. You starting to catch the picture here? Right. It's gonna feel easy. It's gonna feel natural. It's gonna feel like it's you. Number 7, authenticism. Authenticism. Real shit, all right? Does it feel real to you? Are you being true to yourself? If we look at ancient literature, well, not even ancient literature, but some ancient literature, like the hieroglyphics, if you look at Shakespeare, even to the music of Tupac Shakur, the reality is artists, historians, playwrights have all told us that the secret to life is being true to yourself. To thine own self be true. You can't find a better phrase than that. Because if something is authentically you, then that means that nobody else on this entire planet will have the same relationship with that activity, right? Because there's only one you. There's only one Jamil Damji, there's only one Bobby Canode, there's only one you. And so you know through all of your life experiences, through all of the people you've met, through all of your hardships and through all of your triumphs, that you have come together as this very unique expression of what it means to be alive as yourself. Now, because of that, because of how unique that is, and the fact that out of billions and billions of years and billions of people, there's not a single person like you. Well, that means that you are naturally inclined to have specific gifts, specific experiences, and a specific perspective to provide insight into a thing for the rest of the world to understand. And that, my friends, is what makes it authentic, because what's real for you will ring real for me, right? If what you're doing is authentic and it feels like, man, that's just who that person is, and it just feels right when they say it, it's gonna speak to a portion of me, the authentic part of me, which is gonna make me really wanna resonate with this as well. And it's probably gonna make me wanna buy your stuff and make me wanna be around you and become a fan, right? Because when we see authentic things and we see real people, it speaks to something else in us. It speaks to a quality or an awareness that we don't really put on the surface. It's that underlying divine self, the true you that it's talking to. And the true you is what controls your attention. So, does it feel authentic? And if it does, then you're probably in alignment with it. And then lastly, do you feel grateful to be able to do it? right? I wake up every single day feeling so dang grateful that I get to do the things that I do in my life, right? From making these videos to helping people offload crappy houses to fixing up properties and letting my design choices find their way into these properties and to allow others, hundreds of others, thousands of others to learn off of the things that I've picked up in the game. It feels amazing. I'm grateful to have this position and this opportunity to do this every single day. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm even more grateful to do it again. I don't wake up and say, man, I gotta be Jamil Damji again today. This sucks. No, I wake up and I'm like, this is amazing. I get to be me today. And what am I gonna do today? Whatever the hell I want. That gratitude is magnetic. It brings more opportunities and reasons to be grateful. So does what you're working on right now elicit gratitude? And if it does, there's a good chance you're in alignment. So folks, I hope this video helped you sift through whatever emotions you've got, whatever feelings you have, reservations, or the little goblin voice in your head that may or may not be telling you the thing that you're doing right now is good or the thing you're doing right now is bad. At the end of the day, if you're in alignment, it's probably gonna do really well. But it's important that you go through these 8 things and suss it out, because if real estate's not your jam, it's all good. But if it is, then you're in the right place. If this video meant something to you and if you got something out of it, I would love to hear what it did, right? So share that in the comments. A lot of you guys watch these videos, but you never leave me a comment. And I wanna know who's out there. I wanna know who's getting some value from this, who's benefiting from this. So say hi in the comments and let me know what resonated with you. And also, if you would, like the video and share it with a friend. You just never know who you could be helping.